My husband, 30 male, keeps commenting about my female 27 appearance. How to deal with this? I've been with my husband for over a decade now, and for most of that time, he was the person I felt the safest with. We've been married for 2 years, and during those years, we built a life together based on love, support, and trust. One of the things I've always appreciated about him is how he would always lift me up, especially when it came to my insecurities. I've always struggled with body image, but he would always reassure me. No matter how much I doubted myself, he was there, telling me that I had the best body, that I was beautiful just as I was. Over the years, I've come to rely on his praise and encouragement to feel confident in myself. I never thought that would change. I gained some weight over the last year, about 15 pounds, and initially, he was supportive and reassuring. I told him about my cravings, and instead of criticizing me or trying to make me feel guilty, he'd indulge me. He would take me out for food, tell me how I was perfect just the way I was, and even joke about how lucky he was to have me. But then, something started to shift. It wasn't immediate, but it was noticeable. He started making small comments about my body that, at first, I tried to brush off. "You should work on your posture," he'd say, or, "You don't dress very well, you know?" At first, I thought maybe it was just his way of being playful, but these comments started becoming more frequent. I began to feel like the man who once cherished my body was now criticizing it. Then, one day, things took a turn that left me stunned and heartbroken. We were sitting together on the couch, and I sat on his lap as I often did. But that day, he told me to get off because, in his words, I have a bony ass, and that it was too small. I couldn't believe it. This was the same man who, just a year ago, used to compliment me endlessly, telling me how great my curves were and how much he loved my body, especially my ass. I had always been self-conscious about my body, and while I didn't have the most perfect shape, I had always thought he loved the way I looked. I believed him when he said it because why would he lie? But that comment shattered everything. It was a punch to my confidence. It was like I had lost everything in a single moment. The security, the trust, and the belief that he truly accepted me for who I was. The thought that maybe he'd been lying to me this whole time, just telling me what I wanted to hear, hit me hard. How could he go from praising me for the same things he now criticized? I started questioning everything. This was the last straw for me. My body had always been a source of insecurity, and now, it felt like the man I trusted to make me feel beautiful was the one contributing to my doubts. I realized this wasn't just about a few comments. This was a bigger issue, a pattern of behavior. My husband, who once made me feel like I was enough just as I was now making me feel inadequate. And it wasn't just about my body anymore. It was about the relationship as a whole. His criticisms of my appearance were just the tipping point. Our relationship had already been strained in so many ways. His anger issues, his ego, and the ongoing conflicts with his family. I started to wonder, is this really the person I want to spend my life with? Can I continue to be with someone who doesn't seem to see me for who I am, but rather for who he wants me to be? And worse, am I willing to let this person keep chipping away at my confidence and my sense of self-worth? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that I couldn't be with someone who wasn't going to build me up. I didn't want to be with someone who made me feel like my worth was tied to my appearance. I deserve to be loved for who I am, body and all. In the past, I was able to brush things off, thinking that love would conquer all. But now, I wasn't so sure. My heart ached as I realized that the love I once felt might not be enough to fix the cracks in this relationship. And what was worse was the realization that maybe I had been lying to myself all this time, believing in a version of our marriage that didn't reflect reality. The thought of being with someone who truly loves and appreciates me for all that I am, not just for my looks, started to feel like a distant dream that was finally within reach. Maybe I needed to be with someone who genuinely supported me and accepted me. Someone who made me feel beautiful in ways that didn't depend on compliments or praise about my body. As I reflected more, I knew I needed to make a decision. This wasn't just about one comment or one disagreement. This was about how I felt in the relationship overall. Could I continue living with someone who didn't treat me the way I deserved to be treated? Could I allow myself to continue shrinking into a version of myself that was smaller than I am? Or was it time to stand up for myself and finally walk away? I realized that, in the end, I deserve more than just words of encouragement. I need someone who truly sees me, who loves me for who I am, who respects me in ways that don't just fade when things get tough. The love I once felt for my husband feels like a distant memory now, and I'm beginning to wonder if it's time to let go of him, of the relationship, and the hope that things would change. Maybe, for the first time in a long while, it's time for me to focus on myself, to reclaim my confidence and self-worth, and to find a love that builds me up rather than tearing